It's okay, Father.
Okay. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Let us pray for justice, for peace. Hail Mary, full of grace. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, so this morning the program is first we have a kind to have an idea what is the justice, because justice is the center of social ethics. And we have also to reflect on what are rights and duties. That's the program for this morning. And you have the text in the book of Father Fagothey, so you have to read that to prepare. Okay, so justice. But when we study last semester the philosophy of man, we saw that we have four cardinal virtues. We have prudence, we have justice, temperance, and fortitude. You remember that? The four cardinal virtues. And those habits, because they are acquired operational structure, habit, disposition, permanent disposition, they perfect. Prudence, they perfect my intellect, my way of judging the reality. Justice, and perfect my will, in such a way that I will give to other what is due. And temperance, perfect, you remember, the concupiscible appetite. That means the desire I have for material thing. And finally, fortitude, irascible appetite, that means the courage. Courage, fortitude, strength. Okay, so this morning, justice. Justice is a good habit, and that inclines us, dispose us to give to each one is due. In fact, the object of justice is due. And that give the word duty. So due, duty. That means to give everyone what is he has the right to have, to obtain. It can be a material thing. I buy something, I must pay. It can be also his reputation. I must respect his reputation, etc. Okay? The American bishop, they give a definition. They call that the rightful relations. The object of the will, it is to perfect the rightful relation. In fact, the social justice is essentially social. Justice is essentially social. That means justice control, direct my relation with God, which is above me, my relation with others, and my relation with the world, the cosmos, the universe, nature, plant. Here we have ecology. Here we have social justice, social ethics, and here we have religion. So justice is very, very important. It is the soul of human virtue. We cannot be a virtuous man without being just. Okay? So justice disposes free will, free will, to give each one what is his own, or his due, or his own, what belongs to him. And don't forget, and that's only material thing. When I respect the reputation of a person, I practice justice. Okay? So in order that each one receive what really belongs to him. And here, belongs to him, what we have here, we have the concept of property. And we see that soon. We have a chapter where we reflect on that, the property, because it's a big problem in our society. So property is linked with justice. In fact, all our social life is linked with justice. justice is the center, the soul of any social life, in family, in the state, in the community, everywhere. Okay? So justice is essentially the respect of the use. Well, use give justice. No? Justice, use. And use in Latin means the right. Huh? The right. Link with the law. Not the right link with the left. The right with the law. Huh? That is to respect the right, to respect the law. Okay. So, and all virtues, to be really virtue, must be just. You remember St. Thomas said, virtue is in the middle. Huh? And to keep the middle in everything, we must have the virtue of prudence, but prudence indicates the will. It is the will that takes the decision. Huh? So perfecting the will to find in everything the just middle, the virtue. Huh? You know, for example, courage is a virtue between two extremes, huh? Temerity or cowardice. Huh? So justice, you see, sometimes is the form, huh? The form, the soul, huh? The form. You remember that form? The form determines the matter. Huh? You remember that? Huh? This desk is matter and form. There is wood, but there is an idea put in that, the form. So the form, or if you compare that to a living, to the soul. Huh? So we can say justice is the soul of any virtue. So in the Old Testament, we never use the word saint for a person, except for God. We never say, for example, Moses was a saint. Only God is holy. But when we speak about a holy man, as we think today, Saint John Paul II or Saint Francis of Assisi, in the Old Testament, what is the word used by them? A just man. Huh? He was a just man. And when we define the just, they say, for example, Saint Joseph was just and prudent. Huh? Just and prudent. They were the two virtues describing what is a saint for us. Justice, what is the faculty linked to that? It is the will. And prudent, what is the faculty linked to that? It is the intellect. Interesting, no? Vir. In Latin we say vir, prudence, justus et prudens. In the old time when we sing in Latin, Saint Joseph is a just and prudent man. Okay. So two virtues. Prudence is in every virtue. We cannot practice virtue, any virtue, without prudence and justice. That means we use continually our two faculties, and because we use our two faculties, will and intellect, those are human acts. So human acts imply always the role of my intellect. Prudence indicated me what is good, my conscience, my conscience, conscience, and here my will, my will. Okay? Now, when we speak about justice, justice is not univocal. That means there is many kinds of justice. It's a genus entering in three kinds of. The first is what the people practice almost every day. It is commutative justice. To commute in English, what is the meaning of that? To commute. Did anyone among you commute this morning to come here? Yes. To commute, mutare in Latin, mutare, means to move. And cum, with. With. So to move with, what is the meaning of that? You go to the store, you need gas for your car, gasoline. You go to the station. And now you put gas. So the station gave you gas. What you have to give now? To pay. That is commutative justice. Huh? It is what we practice. When you buy something, it is commutative justice. Huh? And that is based on equality. Huh? You give me that, I pay for that, the price, we agree for that. Okay? Commutative. And that justice, based on equality, is between person. It can be individual person, individual, or it can be also with many persons. So individual with a community, common community, or between two communities. So three possibilities. A person with another person, a society or a society with another society, or a society with a person. So, for example, the seminary here, the college, is a moral person, is a moral person. So the college has the right to possess, to have a bank account, no? Your community, a congregation, or your diocese, or your family, your father, huh? As a family, or or the owner of a store, huh? is a moral person. That means a society, your town, for example, they can buy truck. The government, they can buy planes, you know. And when the government, United States, or your city buy a truck, or your community buy a house, it is commutative justice. Huh? You cannot say, you go to the store, sister, and you say, I buy that, and to pay, you say, oh, I will see 3 Hail Marys. No, you have to pay. Huh? That is the base, the foundation of that. That's the foundation, for example, for wages. Wages, it is based on commutative justice. It's not only at the whim of the boss. Huh? Okay? And what is the symbol used everywhere in the world to express justice? Commutative justice. The scale. Huh? You see that?
Scale, yeah.
You see a woman with a blinded by a scale. That is equality. Huh? Equality. But can we all the time apply equality? For example, when you were a kid and you were many children in your family, maybe you were the big brother or the big sister, and you have a little brother or little sister, and your mother cook a steak, and she divided the steak in 3 parts for the 3 children. One is 16 years old, the other is 12, and the other is 3. Well, did your mother did that? No. Why? Because she practiced another kind of justice. Because distributive justice. Huh? Distributive justice. Not all the needs of the children in the family are the same. Huh? So your mother gives to each one what is necessary. Huh? It is a very simple example of distributive justice. And in distributive, you have the word distribute. Huh? To give to everyone according to his need and according to his merit also. Needs and merit. I gave you an example. You work for a bank, a big bank, a citizen bank, for example. Okay? When the responsible of the bank will have the same salary as the man who cleaned the floor. The same salary? No. No. Why? Why? Because one has more merit, because he has more responsibility. If I take an example of a physician, the physician has more responsibility than the nurse. So because he has more responsibility, he will have bigger salary than the nurse. You know? That is distributive justice. The more responsibility you have, or the more work you do, the more you should receive. But according also to your need. Because sometimes people cannot, by themselves, for example, a baby, he will eat, but he cannot work to eat. Even if St. Paul said, if you want to eat, you have to work. But the poor little baby, no. So when your parents feed their children, they practice that. And when the superior or community, for example, a sister is sick in the community, maybe she will have more then another sister will have good health, you know. So that is very important. It is the characteristic of social justice in a society. In a society, we cannot give everyone exactly the same thing. So the government or the authority can be in the church, it can be in a parish, it can be in a school, it can be in a hospital, everywhere. We give to each one what is necessary to have a good human life, but at the same time we give them also according to their participation, to their merit, to their responsibility. It is normal that the President of the United States receive more than the mayor of Cromwell. But what is surprising, the President of the United States has a salary about 10 times and 20 times less than a baseball player. Yeah? 23 million to pitch a ball. To be the President of the United States, $500,000, $500,000. That is the order of value. Okay. So, require the society, community, because we live in communion, require a fair and proper distribution of the public benefit and the public burden. Also, the public benefit, but also the public burden. That means, if we have a debt, everybody should pay for the debt. But according to your capacity. If I am a billionaire, I should pay more than only the poor worker who have 5 children. Proportionally, I don't speak in quantity and percentage. It's the reason why, for me, it is unjust to accept the system of fixed income tax. For me, it's unjust. Okay, to pay something, I say, but for the salary. Imagine you ask a poor man, father with 6 children, to pay 15% of his income tax. And you ask Mr. X, Trump or another one, to pay 15%. For them, it's a peanut. For the other, it's very heavy. Because every cent is important for him. You know? He cannot burn his dollar to enlighten his cigar. Okay, so distribution it applies first of all for the state. That is, but apply also for any kind of community. Apply in a religious society and any community. Okay, how we can violate. Okay, before I come back to commutative justice, you can violate commutative justice, not giving what you have to do. So when you break the equality. Here, how we can, when we break the justice by favoritism. That means we favor someone independently of their needs or their merits. Okay? So here, partiality. Partiality. Thank you, brother. Partiality, favoritism, it is what breaks distributive justice. Okay? So, what is in commutative justice we spoke about equality. In distributive justice we spoke about proportionality. It is not the same thing, it is what is needed according to the needs and the merit. So we have to distribute the benefits and also the burden. And the burden in a society, public society, we call that taxes. Everybody wants to take benefit, but nobody wants to pay. We have a song in French. See? Tout le monde veut aller au ciel, mais personne ne veut mourir. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So in a society, okay? So it is the justice between the society and the individual, between the group and the individual. Now we have the contrary, the third one. The third one we call legal justice. So first we have commutative justice, secondly distributive justice, and the third one legal justice. Legal justice, why we call that legal? Legal comes from lex legis in Latin. Lex legis, the law. That means that legal justice implies that we fix the responsibilities of, we fix taxes here according to the law. That means we cannot say, okay, I act according to your goodwill. Pay your income tax according to your goodwill. What will be the result of that?
Nobody will pay.
You will go in bankruptcy. You will be obliged to borrow money from the Chinese. Huh? So that means we need a law. That means because of the weakness of man, the selfishness of man, because of the individualism, when we want to share the burden of taxes, we are not able to do that by ourselves. We need a law. And that is, we call that legal justice. The justice, the relation between the state, the individual and the state. My relation in regard of the state, or my relation in regard of my community, are precise by law. In community, we call that the rules, the rule of my community, or the norms of my community. But we need that. Why? Because we're human. Suppose there is no law, it will be almost impossible. You know, we see that when you be a parish priest, you will see that. You say to the people, oh, go, I don't fix an amount of participation, but give what you can. Sometimes you have only some 25 cents. Because people, they must be, you have to suggest, oh, at least $5. Okay, they will give you the minimum. We are inclined to give the minimum. Of course, some are very generous, but they are exceptions. Isn't that true? So we need a third, so commutative justice, exchange. Distributive justice, the state or the family or the community take care of the individual according to their needs and merits. And finally, the individual have to take care of the state also, to share in the responsibility of the state. That is legal justice. Legal justice. Okay? And that is based on written law. So even in the baseball club, every society must have some rule, some law. No? You enter the night of Columbus, so you become a policeman, you have some law, some rule, some regulation. No? And sometimes that kind of legal justice, they call that also general justice, etc. But the best term is legal justice. So now we have an idea of what is justice. Okay, the virtue regulating, inclining my will to give everyone, each one is due, and how I can give the is due, depending on the three relations I have. In relation with my equal, that's due, is this commutative justice. The relation of the whole family, the whole society with the individual is distributive justice, but the relation between the individual and the society is legal justice. And all that is based, especially the third one, is based on laws. And that leads us to the second part of the study this morning, right and duty. Right and duty. So we have to reflect on that reality. Why? Because any society, every society functions only in the respect of the law. And the law, what is the law? It is the expression of the right of people. The law is not the arbitrary will of the government. The law in a democratic society, it is the expression of the will of the people. So what is a right? What are rights? First, the common sense, right in English, is opposed to wrong. What is right, what is wrong? That is the first thing. Anyway, any right by the law must be right. If it is wrong, it is not the law. We see that in general ethics. We cannot oblige the people to act against their conscience. That is the problem we have now in the United Nations. You see, for example, the poor, the sister of the poor, the little sister of the poor, they are in Supreme Court now because they are obliged to pay for abortion in their hospital. And they don't want that because it's against their conscience. So, so if we impose something against the conscience of a person, it is wrong. It is not right. So because they are convinced it is wrong, they go to Supreme Court to say, I am not obliged to act against my conscience. Secondly, that is the objective. We have two kinds, objective right and subjective right. Or if you want, in every right we have a objective aspect and a subjective aspect. Subjective aspect, suppose I say, it is right to do that. It is wrong to do that. So according to my conscience or what I know, it is right, it is wrong. That is subjective aspect. But when I say I do that, I am respecting my rights. My rights. Last class we studied the Declaration of the Human Rights. What are the rights of a student? What are the rights of a soldier, etc.? So that is the objective part. Subjective, I am right, I am wrong. That is subjective. Objective is something above me, outside of me, and controlling me. That is, we call the law. It's interesting. In English, the school where we study right and duties, we call that law school. And in Latin country, French, Spanish, Spain, South America, and all we call that école de droit. Droit, right. It's interesting. The British insist on the law, obey the law. And the Latin, my right, respect my right. It's interesting, huh? It's the same thing. One is insisting on the obligation, the other insisting on my privilege. Huh? But both study the same thing. So when you see law school, you go to France, école de droit. They study the rights of the people. In law school, they study what the people they have to obey. The right of the state for the common society. Huh? Okay. So the common idea between the right is the concept of duty. Huh? Duty. The concept of duty or the concept of hotness. Huh? And duty comes from due. By the way, it's a French name. Huh? 40% of the words in English come from French. So that is interesting. When I read the text all the time, I see, I go to William Webster, he confirm me like a bishop. Huh? Okay, so the word right means something not crooked, something straight, right, okay? And that is the first meaning of rectus, rectus, something, for example, right line. That is right. If I do that, it's not a right line, okay? But it's not a wrong line. The first meaning. The second meaning, right, linked with duty. And when we speak about right, we speak about duty. In fact, we cannot separate the idea of right from the idea of duty. Unfortunately, in our modern society, we insist on right, we forget duty. For example, in the question of marriage, equality between gay marriage and ordinary or normal marriage. It is a question of duty. The more duty you have, the more right you have. Because a duty is always linked with a right. If you have a duty to do something, it is because you have a right. So if you have a child, you have the duty to educate him. So you have some right that are not the right of those who don't have children. You have a right to educate your children before the state, before others, because that is the foundation of duty is right. The foundation of right is duty. In fact, a right is linked with duty. Any right. For example, if you have the right to talk, the other have the duty to listen. If you have the right to possess a car, to property, nobody can impede you normally to have a car. So all the time, every time I have a duty, I have the right to accomplish that duty. In fact, I will say the first, and the philosopher who was very aware of that was Immanuel Kant. All his ethics is based on duty. It is a fact. Can be found on earth only one person having absolutely no obligation.
Those disabled, maybe.
At least if you are Robin Crusoe and you live alone on your island. But the other, no. As soon as we live two together, we have right and duty. And the minimum is marriage. One man and one woman. Immediately they have right, but also they have duty. Okay? Today we insist more on the right. There was a cartoon I saw in Canada. It was about strikes. There were a lot of strikes, and in the cartoon you see people with what do you say, with a car, I reclaim my right, my right, my right, my right. And there was a little man with I reclaim my duties. I claim my duties. So, use give if you look at the word use, look at all the word we make, we can build with use. Justice, just, jurist, jurisprudence, juridical, injure, perjury, etc. All those words come from the word justice. For example, perjure, you pass over the use. You don't tell the truth in front of the judge, etc. Okay, under oath. Okay. So why do we have a duty? We have duty to respect the right of others. And because I have a right, my brother has a duty. Okay? So we can distinguish now two kinds of power. In fact, right is a power. A right is a power. But concretely, is it true that every right is respected? No. Many rights are not respected. It is the reason why we have a police, military, judge, jails, tickets. We have many things because we are not always faithful to the right. So when we don't respect the right, what happens? What the society uses? Might. Right and might. So we speak about that. Right and might. For some philosophers, right and might are synonymous. That means the fact you have a right, you have the right to use a physical power to make your right respected by others. So, in fact, we have, there is a physical power. Might can mean a physical power. But can mean also a moral power. Bon. If we speak about duty, immediately duty, and click another word to say duty. Obligation, no? Obligation. If you have an obligation, that means somebody or something should be oblige you, force you, no? Otherwise, if there is no constraint, no pressure, no might, you see, a right is accompanied with a might. Otherwise, the right has no power. So it is accompanied either by a physical power, might, physical, or a moral power. For example, when you drive a car, and you arrive at a corner and there is a red light, why do you stop?
Obey the law.
Because of the law. But do you stop because there is a policeman?
You have might.
You can't say no.
Of course, you can be caught and pay a big ticket. But the majority of the people, they stop because they are reasonable. They say, if I don't stop, I will provoke an accident. I will kill my brother. And the majority of the people in your country, in my country, in the whole world, the majority obey not because there is a policeman, because they have a conscience. Otherwise, it will be necessary to have for every citizen a policeman, and for every policeman another policeman to control, and the other to no. No, the majority of people respect the law because they obey their conscience. It is a moral power. The majority. So why we have policemen? For those who don't obey their conscience. Policemen are not for the, okay, they are there to protect good people, but they are protect good people against those who don't respect their conscience, don't accept the moral power, the moral authority. And that moral authority is the natural law. The natural law. Okay? So let us go to the text of Father Fagothey. So physical power or might is the bodily strength needed to secure an end. So the strength, in fact, the strength itself is neither good or bad. The strength is only a tool. A tool. So but the tool can become good or not, depending on your will. For example, a pencil is a good or bad thing. With a pencil, you can write very beautiful thing, but you can write also a letter accusing another one in falsely, and that can be very serious. You know, it can destroy the reputation, even the life. So the same. But if you use your pen to write a letter of thanksgiving, congratulations, condolence, etc., that you use it, it's a good tool. But if you use it to destroy the reputation of another, it becomes a bad tool. So might can be used in a good way or in a bad way. You know, the constraint, the presence of might can crush freedom or can protect freedom. And when the physical might become too strong, that is killing human freedom. We see that in some state where there is a total dictator and people have no means to take their own decision. So that is the physical or physical might, the power. But the moral might exist also. And the proof, the majority of people obey the law not because there is a policeman. Because they say, if I don't obey the law, that will have very serious consequences. I can kill someone. I have a story about that when I went to Italy. Italy, there is a joke, it's a joke of course. The Italian, he was in a taxi. And there was a right light, and the taxi passed on the right light. And when he arrived to the green light, he stopped. So he asked the taximan, why do you stop? Is it because my cousin will pass on the right light? So we have to respect the law, not because of the might, physical might, but the power might, the moral might. And all ethics is based on moral might. Ethics is here. We obey the law because we use our freedom. And that is the condition to have a moral act. Remember, to have a moral act, we must use our intellect and our will, free will. If we are obliged, if there is violence, it's no more a moral act. We diminish, etc. So, in fact, what is the moral right? The moral right is an appeal to the will of another. If I have a moral right, for example, in my room, to be quiet, and I listen to you, to my brother in the other room, is listening to music full at 90 decibels, I can say, my brother, can you either put here, plug, or can you stop? I have to study. You have a right on the other. You appeal to his will. So a right is to appeal to the will of another. We have, in fact, when we have a right, we have a power on the will of others. When your parent, you were young, 10 years old, and your father told you, enter at 9 p.m., not after, 9 p.m. Your father has a moral power on you. To have a right is to have a power, okay? I claim something as mine, and my claim oblige others to respect what I claim for. If I want to be quiet, to sleep well, I ask my brother respect my sleep, you know? It's a moral power. And okay. A right is a moral bound, a moral power, a moral bound on the free will of others. So we must exercise our right using our prudence. We cannot all the time. Sometimes it's better for peace to support a little injustice than to provoke a great injustice. So that means I have, in a society, every person, because every person has rights, has a moral power of others. But we cannot use all the time our might to make others respect. For example, your mother has a right to your gratitude. a mother has the right that her children say, "Mother, I love you. Mother, I thank you." It's all right. Suppose you never say thank you to your mother. Is your mother allowed to write, to call a lawyer and to say, "You know, my son never tell me thank you, so I sue him"? No. Because it's a moral right. Moral right. We have a right to be loved. We have a right to the truth. Why lying is bad? Lying is bad because other has the right to know the truth. And when they don't tell the truth, I don't respect their right. Okay? So a right is said morally. Some rights are, in fact, a right is morally inviolable, but it can be physically violable. We can also use, another can use his physical strength to destroy my right, to oppose my right. Okay? And we see that when a gunman arrives to you, he says, "Give me your wallet." You have the right to possess your wallet, but he used violence to take your wallet. No? So moral right, you have to possess a wallet, but he used might to destroy your right. Okay? That is right. Okay? So we need protection, and that is the foundation of military, of police. And in fact, what is police? Police in Greek means the city. No? It's those who take care of the city. The word police is the man who take care, protect the city. That is the word police. No? Okay. So, you know, if every people were aware of that, they will not kill policemen. They are those who protect them. They risk their life to protect the people. Okay. So how we can define a right? Well, a right is a moral power over what is one's own. I have a moral power of what is due to me. Or a moral power to do, to own, to keep, to own, and to exact. Something, to require. So to do something, for example, the right to marry, the right to sing, the right to, etc. To own, to possess, and to exact, and then to force someone to give me what is due. And when the one does not want to give me what is due, we are allowed to go in justice and to ask the society to make the other respect my right. So that is the first definition. But we have also, all that is related to my right. My right. But there is also, I have a right on something. I have the right to express my ideas in society, in a democratic society, etc. We saw that, and a universal right, right to marry, a right to live as a citizen of the country, etc. So I have a right, for example, to possess. So a right is not only subjective, a right can be objective. I have the right. The characteristic of that right is property. I possess a typewriter. I possess, no, it's finished. I possess a computer. I possess a car. Okay, that is the secondary meaning, the objective meaning. So I am right to possess something, and I have some rights over something. We will study that just after when we studied the foundation of right. Okay, the foundation of the law now. Rights are founded on law. Law and right, or if you want, right and duties go together, because the law is the expression of the duties. The duties the other have in mind. For example, you shall not steal. That is the law. And that law protects every citizen from being deprived from their possession, their property. Okay? In fact, what is the foundation of every right? It is the law. And the law, ultimately, who is the author of the law? It is nature. But who is the author of nature? Finally, we are to eternal law. Huh? So it's not a subject of ethics, social ethics, but when we study general ethics, we study that. Huh? So that means, finally, the foundation of the law in every society is God, is the eternal law. Of course, not everybody will accept that. I don't think Oshivin accept that. Huh? But it is, in fact, that is confirmed by the fact that the majority of people obey the law without being pushed by any kind of authority. That means the majority of people obey the law inscribed in their heart. That is natural law. If it is a natural law, there must be an author of the natural law. Okay. So, all right comes from the law. And the law, especially eternal law, or natural law. Law itself is something called right. So the law and the right, they are inseparable. We saw that when we study. In Anglo-Saxon country, we say law school. In Latin country, we say école de droit, right? In fact, they are, and we cannot separate that. The foundation of right is the law. And the law expressed the need of our nature and the nature of others, you know. For example, the right for every man in a society to be fed. It is a duty in a society to give food to those who have nothing to eat. It's a duty. You know, those who live on stamps, 50 million now live on stamps to feed themselves. It is a duty. Because it is a right for people to live. And they have no means, so we have to. It's not charity. It's not charity, it is justice. It is a duty. We cannot say, I have enough to eat, I don't take care of you. It's not only charity, it is justice. In fact, if you study attentively the ethics, even in theology, moral theology, you will see that justice and love go together. Justice and charity, we cannot practice charity without justice. No charity without justice. The first is justice. Charity goes farther than justice. That means we give even, we have no obligation. But sometimes we consider as a charity, which is in fact, it is obligation. Okay. Now, what are the components of the right? First, in any right, you have a subject of right. The subject of right, it is the one who possesses the right. And sub under. What is the one who possesses the right? Who can possess a right? Can your cat possess a right? No. Why? To possess a right, we must be intelligent and free. So the one who possesses a right is man. The subject is only the human person. But also another person is not a human person, God. We remember what I spoke about justice. Justice, you regularize the relation between God, the other, and the world, ecology, the rest of the world. Because man has the responsibility over that. So it is a question of justice. To respect nature is a question of justice. If we destroy the forest in Amazonia, it is we destroy the way to renew our oxygen. We prepare bad thing for the future. It is a duty of justice. And recently the Pope in Francis in the Philippines, he spoke about that. The moral obligation, we have to respect nature. Okay? But it's funny, at the same time we respect nature. We don't want to kill whales. We don't want to kill little seal, but we kill babies. Oh. By million. That is, you know, something is not logical in our world. We need a class of logic. So the subject, only person. Well, of course, somewhat they speak about the right of animal. Strictly speaking, animal has no right. But the honor of animal has a right. I cannot kill any animal without respecting the right of property. I can arrive and say, okay, cows have no right. I enter the farm, I kill cows. I'm sure the owner will not be happy. Huh? Even white animal, they belong to the state, no? In every country, you have regulation to control hunting, no? We cannot kill it because it is the property of the society, the common good. No? Animals are property of the common good. I give you an example, maybe we will smile. In China, there was a lot of flies everywhere. So in a part of the country, they decided to kill all the flies they can. And they said to the people, every night you will come to the mayor, the town, and you will give your fly and count how many fly. So one has 10 fly, the other. Imagine 1 billion of people killing fly. What happened? Next year?
No more. There's no more.
No more fly, no more corn.
Oh.
Because the birds feed themselves with flies. If you kill flies, you destroy.
Yeah.
We have the same phenomenon happen in Canada in 1640s. There was a lot of mosquitoes. Here in Canada, we have mosquitoes and black fly. Very little, they pass through. They're horrible, for about 2 weeks. And then even the people in some area, they must have a net in their face. Huh? So they imported sparrows, little sparrows, to kill. So when the sparrows arrived in Canada, 25 sparrows, they were very happy to eat. But the next, that it was in May, June. But after what they discovered wheat, corn, and the next year they did not eat fly, they eat corn.
Oh.
So we must respect nature. The man as dominion. That is question of justice. So when you speak about ecology, think about that. It's not only the fantasy of someone, maybe they exaggerate sometimes, but it is a duty and justice and must respect nature. Okay, so any animal cannot possess right, but it must be respected. For example, we cannot torture animals. Vivisection is good in the measure we use it for the good of man, and also we try to not to make the animals suffer. There are some kids when they are, some children, they are horrible. They torture cats, and they like that, and they cry. And, you know, not every child is a holy man, is a saint. Original sin exists. Okay. So now I have a right, subject, but you have a term. So they have a subject, and the subject has a right, and another one must respect the term. The term is another person or a society. For example, if I have the right, I buy a bicycle, the dealer must give me a bicycle, valuable in good functioning well. Okay? The term is a person also. So the subject of a right is a person, the term is a person. That means what? A right is a relation. You know, in the category, the 9 categories, right is a relation. Every right implies two intelligent persons. One possessing the right, the other must respect the right. But the right is about something. No? It's about something. And that something, we call that the matter. The matter of the right. The right is, for example, I buy 12 tomatoes. The matter of my contract of buying is tomatoes. Well, The right can be life, it can be many things. It can be my reputation. Huh? Okay? It can be, you go to university, you go to college, and the mother is your subject you study. You must have something. If the teacher comes and he say, okay boy, girl, sleep, we have 1 hour of sleeping. Huh? That is not the mother, okay? And finally, well, the mother, okay, the object of the, it is the object if you want, the mother, the object. What I have to respect, what I have to obtain, the subject, what is due to me here, and what I have to give to the other, the what, the object here, the mother. Okay? Well, that mother can that matter can be a person? Can the object of a I can sell a person?
No.
No. Okay. A person cannot be used as an object. A person cannot be used as an object. Okay. So finally, it's not enough. Suppose you go too fast in Cromwell. You arrive, yeah, oh, I am hungry, I want to go to the refectory, so instead of respecting 30 miles per hour, I drive 60 miles. And suddenly, I stop. What the punishment will ask you? Your license, the title, the proof the car belongs to you and you have the right to drive, a title. Because if I have a right, because there is a reason why I have a right. And the title is very important. We can compare that to the form of the right. If there is no title, there is no right. No? If somebody gives you an order, you say, who allows you to give me that order? You know? You are not my superior in the community. You are not my bishop, etc. The title, the reason why. So we have here the 4 elements to every right. In every right, we have the one who possesses the right, the one who is obliged to respect the right. We have an object of right, and finally, you must have a title of right. And the most important is the title. If there is no title, there is no right. Okay? Now, that question is important. Why? Because here, what is the title of the law? What makes us obliged to respect the law? You know, what is the foundation of the law? The right, the title. What is the foundation of the law, etc. Okay? What is the origin of the law? So we have many schools. You have the moral positivist. They say. Like Hobbes, for example, you remember Hobbes, man is a wolf for other men. You have Spinoza, the pantheist, Jewish pantheist. For them, the right is the... in fact, there is no natural right. The right is only a positive right. That means the right comes from men. The right is not natural, it's positive. It is an act of the will of man. The foundation of the society, the title here for positivist is the will of man. And we have 4 explanations, we see that soon. For example, it is a contract, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, in the contract. We are live together, and the title is because we decide that. We decide that. So ethics, social ethics for them is based not on nature, is based on the will of man. It can be the will of one man, it can be the will of many, we call democracy. The general will, it is the system in which we live, you know. So that is positivist. We call moral positivist. But we can read that in Fagothey, compromiser. In fact, what is common to those people? Those people, they distinguish, they separate moral and legality. Morality and legality. Morality is for your internal. Legality is for external. Well, the best example I got is abortion. You will go and watch on Thursday. You go to Washington. Someone. Huh? Why you go there? Because of that here. Because for you, the respect of life is based not on legality, it's based on nature, it's based on your conscience. But when you decide, the majority, 5 judges versus 4, imagine 1 vote, decide that the abortion is legal. So for many people, no, it's legal, no problem, it's legal. It is the separation between legality and morality. It was the same thing we saw last class when we studied about God. You know, on Sunday I am a good Christian, and during the week I crush the people to make money. You know, so that is the problem in our society. We have in some society where there is a separation between the morality and the legality, and that we are affected by those philosophers who separate, who did not recognize. So for them, what is the foundation? You have 4 hypotheses. The first is the state. The state is the foundation. Another one, they will say it is the contract. The contract is a foundation. Society is a contract. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the French philosopher, is the one who proposed that. And Hobbes also. Both Hobbes and Rousseau formed the society on the social contract. Social contract. The third idea is the idea of count, a concept of freedom. Everybody possesses the same amount of freedom. And Kant separates legality from morality. It's not against morality. On the contrary, Kant is for morality, because all his philosophy, moral, is based on duty. But he says there is a difference. What is public, what is legal? Morality, in fact, is confined to personal life. And public is legality. Is that the way we live here? In Canada, the same. Huh? So, legality, not legality. That means what runs our action is the law. What the law says is good. Morality, that is up to you. It is in your house, in your home, in your prayer, in your bed. That is, you separate both of them. But the problem is, can we separate that? And finally, the fourth one is custom. The custom. So how we can we accept that? And Father Fagothey gave you a very good criticize. He gave 4 for each of the 4. He gave some proof to deny that the state is the source of light. Because if the state is the source of right, where the state take is legitimacy. The state, if has authority, must find the authority somewhere.
It's no law.
Well, so if it is the second one, the contract, the same. If you have to make a contract, you must have the right to do that. If you don't have the right to do that, the contract is invalid. So even if society is made with contract, who give to man the right to contract? If you say it is the equal freedom for everyone, if you say that you have no limit, you can do what you want. But you can decide what is wrong is good, what is good is wrong. You know, that's exactly what happened in our society. No? What was considered before like sodomy, now it is legal. You know, officially public. You know, and finally the fourth one, the custom. Is the custom the source of right? To be the source of right, the first custom must have a right. If the first custom has not a right, the other, so the custom cannot make a right. I give you an example. In the time of the Roman, the custom and the right, because the right was based on the custom, the father, when a child was born, has the right we call of exposition. That means the midwife took the child and presented to the father. And the father had the right to save him or to kill him. It was all right. He said, no, 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 no. He is too dark. He is not my son. Finish. Yes, it was like that. It is because everyone do that, that is good. And in fact, here you touch a problem, the problem of the social pressure. You see, oh, everyone cheats the government. Everyone don't want to pay the taxes. I am allowed, no. Everyone does that, the custom. So anyway, a bad custom cannot become a good custom. Evil continue to be evil. Here we touch another problem, the problem of the number, the quantity. In our society, the right is not based on quality, the right is based on quantity. 5-4. 5-4. And tomorrow, 2 days, 100,000 people will go to say, we don't accept that 5 and 4 make the law. But in our society, we are in that problem. The quantity makes the quality. So, so can we accept that? Of course, we cannot accept that position, and we arrive to the last part of the right and might. Right is moral, might is physical, but might can be used as a means to make right respected. It is the reason why in every society there is a court of justice. People can go in a court of justice and it can say, hey, you know, I am not respected morally, but now use your your strength, physical power to correct, to restore my right. So, so you can read that by yourself. For example, the usage of the force. When are we allowed to use violence to make our right respected? So that is a big problem. Another thing also, among the right we have we call juridical right, but also we have coercive right. Coercive or coactive or juridical right. In fact, a juridical right is a right based on coaction. That means on the power of the state to restore or the power of the church. Because in the church we have the same thing. We have a court of justice in Rome. If a priest, for example, is accused unjustly by his bishop, he can go there and ask to be restored in his right, for example. Okay? So, duties, it is no man may seek his own end in such a way as to frustrate the end of the whole. Here we touch a problem, we touch continually. What is the goal, the good of the whole? We call that the common good. The common good. So how men can oppose the common good?
For his own good.
Yes,
His own good.
but sometimes the common good asks me. For example, you have, well, the classical example is to go to war. Your country is attacked by an enemy, and you are called to defend your country. So the common good asks you to risk your life to protect your country. But at the same time, you say, no, I want to keep my life. I don't want. You know? So in fact, the problem we study every time, all the time after, is that here. The problem between the common good and the right of the individual. The common good requires money to build streets, highways, bridges, etc., school, but my interest is to accumulate my capital. So I don't want to cut in my capital to participate in the common good. In politics is a fight. And in fact, social justice is a fight. It will be a fight up to the end of the world. And it will be a fight between the common good and the personal interest. And when you study capitalism, communism, personalism, you will see it is the summary. The common good, and on the other side, by personal interest. And it is a conflict, continual. And the men who go to politics, they have to fight continually to make people respect the common good. So that is a kind of appetizer. So now when we know that, we can now continue to study the different aspects of society. Okay, thank you for your participation. Read the text, huh?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Cái đó để ra trước rồi.